Tell us a little bit about your memories of just some interesting people and characters. I'm sure each of you probably can identify one each.
Oh, Frank Robinson, I love to talk to him and hear all the stories about Loudon, and I wish I wrote some of them down because I've forgotten so many of them. Something has to trigger my memory to make me remember what he talked about.
Frank Robinson came to the Masonic Lodge one time. He was a Mason, but he came to the Masonic Lodge one time and gave us a presentation on the history of Loudon. Now that's a bunch of people who like to come in at 7 o'clock and go home at 8 o'clock. They don't want to dilly-dally, they just want to come in and handle business and go. We were there probably till about 10:15, 10:30, and nobody made any great efforts to leave. Frank was a spellbinding storyteller, and he knew Loudon history.
He did.
He knew it, and the part he didn't know, he'd make up. He was just good.
And he was a good artist, too.
Yeah.
This, for us to have had him sit down would have been just wonderful. Bo Carey and Russ Johnson and myself had talked about taking Mr. Frank on a Sunday afternoon and riding around Loudon. We talked about it, and we were going to film him in the car, get out. Why is Greasy Corner? Where was the Opium Den? That was next to Greer's. There was a place, Chinatown. You know, all this. Where these people got these names, and and we just never did it. And I'm like you. I wished I'd asked you more questions, but
I wish I'd remembered what he told me.
Yeah, he drove me around and showed me houses his dad built.
Yes. He when I was mayor of Loudon, he would call me periodically and he'd say, "You doing anything?" I said, "No, not much." "Well, come up here, I want to show you something."
That sounds like
And I would go pick him up and he'd say, "Now drive down to Ferry Street, I want to show you something." Or drive down to Sticky Street, I want to show you something. Or let's go down to the Methodist Church, I just want to sit there in the parking lot, I want to show you something. And he'd ride me all over Loudon and tell me about a particular house or a particular family. And like George and Joe, boy, I wish I'd have written that down. I really wish I had one of those little recorders and just record it, but I didn't. And I guess I thought Frank would always be with us, but he was fantastic.
He was a supreme salesman. We bought Speed Queen washing machines from him. Never heard of them before we got to Loudon. They were made by the McGraw Edison manufacturing company. But he was come in and talk to you and let's talk about history, and then let's talk about washing machines. But he knew them from the bottom up, all the things, the workings in them. He could have prepared them, I guess, if need be. But he just could come into any business and be a friend. Every Christmas, he painted store windows. I know he painted a Christmas scene on the front of one of our big store windows, snow and all of that. And he told me that one day he was over in some town like Cookville or Lebanon, one of those, and was in there eating lunch with the person he was going to sell one to. And the man said, "See that lady over there? That's
Ophelia.
Oh gosh, no. What's the
Minnie Pearl.
Minnie Pearl's. That's Minnie Pearl's mother.
Was it?
Yeah, memory leaving me. Oh, so he had to go over there and talk to him. I think her name. Oh, Minnie Pearl married a canon.
Yeah.
What was she? Sarah Jane something for us. Anyway, Frank said to her, I know you're so proud of your daughter. And she said, "I have 4 daughters. Which one are you talking about?" And that got him to, I mean, he was so proud of the fact that, and I thought about my 4 sons, that I don't want to speak about any one of them different from the other. That was Frank's.
Frank had a side to him that, if you knew him, you knew about it. He was a good guy, concerned about people.
Yes, he was.
My brother was in school at Nashville, and he worked at a local motel there on Nolensville Pike. And Frank happened to stay there. He traveled and he happened to stay there. He didn't know my brother. And he found out some way or another that Dale was Floyd Amburn's son and the connection to Loudon. So Dale said, Harold, he was a regular source of help to me. He said he would call and want me to bring him a bucket of ice. And he said, when he left, it'd be a $5 tip for me. and Frank was just that kind of guy. He knew Dale was in school struggling to put the ends together.
And when you say, I'm coming up there and take you somewhere, that's what way he operated.
Yeah.
I'd get a phone call. No hello, no nothing.
No.
Joe Mourfield,
Yeah.
put your nose outside the back door. Can you smell those cookies? Get over here, Catherine. Catherine's just taken that or a pie out of the oven and it's got your name on it. That's the way he'd say it.
Pie.
He lived, he lived across the street, across the hill. That's what he'd say, Joe Mourfield, stick your head out the back door. Can you smell that pie? You better get over here. It's still hot, and that's the way he'd operate.
Now you've reminded me of a crisis when when Bo was in the Boy Scouts. He's born in 52, this would have been 64, I guess. And they had a deal with Krispy Kreme donuts that Krispy Kreme sold them donuts cheap and Boy Scouts peddled them around town. Well, Bo walked up to the front door and knocked on it. Frank came to the door. Bo said,
There you go.
I don't guess you'd like to buy a dozen donuts, would you? And he said, no, and shut the door. Bo hung his head and walked around, and before he took 4 or 5 steps the door, come here, young man. And he brought him in and he went through how you should sell donuts and you should tell how fresh they are, how sweet they are, and how they smell, and this, that, and the other. And said, now you go out down the sidewalk and you come back up here and you knock on my door and you tell me about these donuts. So Bo did. He came up and went through the spiel as he remembered it. So I'm sure you'd like to buy a dozen donuts. And Frank said, no, I'd like to buy 3 dozen.
It's good.
That was
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But Bo remembered it all his life.